Hello, everyone. So, the Beauty of Project Green Challenge was on full display last night as we shared a meal of floss and ingredients, of course, and I asked Barbara to pronounce cilantro just one more time, and asked Godfred about his favorite Ghanaian foods. Now, as you can see, my Project Green Challenge journey has been incredibly global. And my background itself, the last 5 years being or living all around the world, I thought that I would bring such a depth of interest to every one of these challenges. And while I think my insights were, valid and good, I was absolutely floored and amazed by my peers and their interactions. And every single day, I looked forward to scouring all the Instagram hashtags and searching for just all the things that my peers were contributing and their interactions with our environmental sustainability topics. I even made Mahmoud's dal that he presented, and then also interviewed Kalyan for our community project day. So really, this project gave me so much more than I thought I could, ever receive, and I really, really appreciate all the meaningful insights and input, and have, gathered this all together into a story map to share about my global climate journey. And I have to say, for my cap, it all started with some shakshuka and my dad. So, a proud Italian man, he always has red sauce, marinara, in our home fridge. And sometimes I go downstairs and I'm just like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna whip something up. And so I grabbed a lot of different vegetables, sort of offcuts that we had, things that were about to go bad. And I took his red sauce and, of course, some harissa, and I made shakshuka. And he was so amazed. And he said, oh, you're so resourceful for making this dish. Like, this is amazing. And so I taught him how to make it himself. And to this day, every time he makes shakshuka, he sends a picture to me. And he calls it his shakshuka shortcut. And it made me realize that, and I tell you this because he's not necessarily a great cook, but he is a great learner. And I think that is where the heart of this is a lot of people may have good intentions and good ideas, but a matter of not being able to implement them in their own lives until they learn different keys and key steps for that behavioral change. So that inspired my project, Waste Not, Want Not, a food waste initiative. It goes without saying, food waste is a problem. And unfortunately, it's a very big problem, unique to America in the scale and scope in which we waste food. While the world wastes about 2.5 billion tons of food every single year, the United States discards more food than any other country, nearly 60 million tons. And that estimates to be almost 40% of the entire US food supply. And I want you guys to think about Farmer Al. Imagine just going to his farm and cutting down half of his trees. That's essentially what we're doing by letting fruit rot in our fridge. Not only does it waste away in landfills after we throw away our food, but also we're wasting all of the water and the energy that went into that food production itself. And this has amplifying effects. Also, it's just flat out bad business to waste food. Statistics are currently being reviewed by the EPA and the USDA, but last I checked, $2,000 is the average amount that Americans waste in food every single year, and 43% of food is wasted at the American household level individually. Restaurants and grocery stores waste 40% of their food, and 2% for manufacturers, which, when you think about it, you're like, wait a second, it's because they operate as businesses. Their idea is to get down to the bottom line and reduce as much waste as possible. So we need to sort of take on that mentality into our lives. Also, in addition to the economic and environmental impacts, it also is just plain unfair to the millions of people in the United States that go hungry, and specifically for college students, 40% of which at my university, University of Washington, face food insecurity. Now, why do we waste food? Sometimes we just don't, or we overserve ourselves, or we overpurchase, and we don't know how to store properly. In the catering world, it's actually, sometimes considered rude or unprepared to not have enough food. So you want to show abundance. We're tapping into cultural ideas there, as well as sometimes people just don't like leftovers. So, what can we do about it, and what is needed? Well, that's where my cap comes in. So I want to address a food waste audit, household solutions, as well as institutional and policy changes. For the food waste audit, you guys have templates in front of you of what that would look like. I want every person that's engaged with this project to be able to tape this to their compost bin or their trash can, and every single time that they're about to throw their food away, I want them to log what the item is, how much of that item they're throwing away, and also the economic value as well. And I want you to keep your normal habits for the first 7 days because we want to see what your baseline is and then be able to analyze what the change is through this CAP project. My goal is to get 100 participants to participate in this portion of the project, though I would welcome more. And then we're going to move into the second part, which is the household solutions. So through various challenges, such as the Cook from the Cupboard challenge, I want people to identify a few ingredients that they have within their fridge and then design meals based on those ingredients. I like calling it like chopped kitchen when I do it. And it absolutely makes me feel so inspired to flex my creativity and be able to identify these different meals that I can make. But I don't want to just do that myself. I want people to actually share what they're doing as well. And while part of this project is that people can just send me 3 different ingredients that they have, and I will send a recipe their way via our Instagram, I also want people to share about what things they're making themselves. And so they can use the hashtag to post about these dishes to bring healthy, sustainable, and zero-waste recipes for culturally expansive dishes. Also, if they're not really into trying to play that puzzle, because it is difficult, I also want to host a weekly meal kit where I am showing what a week of groceries would look like for people to purchase at various grocery stores across the United States and hopefully around the world, though probably won't get much more expensive than here. And you're able to make multiple different meals using these ingredients in very different ways. So you don't just have one little bit of gochujang that you don't know what to do with at the end of one recipe. It's thinking about how these fit into larger grocery systems. So some key points is that there will be anonymous survey formats because I want to really tailor this to my audience and what their cultural backgrounds are, what their budgets are, things of that nature. Also educational materials such as printable shopping lists, audit forms as you have, and then also substitution infographics to see where different swaps could be made with certain ingredients that you use all the time. For example, the canned tomatoes or the marinara sauce in my shakshuka. And then also I want to build community. I want to do Instagram Live, cooking sessions, Q&As, weekly challenges to really empower people to think about the ways in which they can take action in their own lives and their own communities to create zero waste food systems in their own households. And the final piece of this, of course, is institutional advocacy. So I'm part of a few different organizations, and we've already brought 2 of these bills as legislation in Congress. And so the underlying work of all of this is that I will continue to work on those efforts for large-scale institutional change within our universities and, of course, our federal congressional level. So the project goals are listed here, again, working with major US grocers to identify better apply all of these different cooking lists to people across the United States and around the world. And again, continuing those long-term food waste and food security legislation efforts. So these are the ways that you can get involved. Please suggest materials, recipes, throw any sort of ingredients that you have my way. I'm sure I can make you a delicious meal. And also follow along at Marria's Kitchen and use our hashtag, please. So just remember, everyone can work to end food waste around the world, but it starts by taking the first bite. Thank you.